What's going down, guys? Brother Stevanius here from Command Centre Wargaming. So in this video today, I'm going to go through some washing techniques with oil with you. Now, I put up one of my Legion glaives up on social media. Got quite a good response. You know, over 100 likes over Facebook. Reddit did okay as well. So I figured people kind of liked it. And I got a lot of compliments on the weathering as well. I figured, look, you know, why not make a video showing some of my washing techniques and things like that. We all know about null oil. We all know about, you know, a lot of other washers, inks, and I have other videos on the channel for that. But I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about washing with oils. Okay, so washing with oils is something that I will do when I'm sort of doing steel, okay, when I'm trying to wash steel and things like that. Also metallics, because oils can come off a little bit shiny, and they really work well when you're doing sort of brush metal effects and things like that. So what I'll do is, look, we'll go over to the spray booth and we'll have a look, and I'll show you my techniques, and you know, you may like them, you may not, but at any rate, you know, while everything's closed, it might be an idea to catch up on doing some minis, and if I can help people with a bit of technique, you know, so be it. All right, brothers, super fantastic. So here we are, ready to go. So what I'll do first, look, there are two primary oils I'll use. Now, the other product to keep in mind, which is very close to the oil effect, but isn't quite there, is null oil gloss, okay? Now, I've got that here somewhere. I didn't put it on the table, but it's here somewhere. Null oil gloss is available from Games Workshop. Everybody probably already knows about this already, but it's definitely hands down my favorite acrylic wash out there. It's just super fantastic. It doesn't really clump up. It doesn't pool as much as the other null oil, and it just gives an overall really nice shiny effect. And it's really good for doing sort of shading and shadowing on metallic surfaces, because the problem is with traditional null oil, when you're dealing with stuff like this, when you're dealing with candy colors, or you know, when you're dealing with metallics, is that basically, like, you know, the null oil can burn in a little bit too much. And yeah, you can go over that again with sort of like a varnish, okay, but it's not quite the same. And you know, why sort of introduce that extra step? That's sort of the way I see it anyway. And I just find that, you know, doing it that way the first time, you know, and not having to go over it again, just saves a bit of time, just looks a bit better overall. So with null oil gloss, you know, out of the way, I want to talk to you about two of the other oils I use. Now, the first one is the Oil Wash Soilworks from Scale 75. Right, this is available on their website. Okay, so yes, Games Workshop is closed right now. They're not accepting any orders, but we still have a lot of options out there. Amazon stores, other stores are still shipping for now. So I think you can get a hold of some of these products relatively easy. I know this for a fact is definitely available over Amazon. Yes, really what this is just a standard oil paint. This is like a black color, okay? Now, it is quite thick, all right, but we have to dilute this down a little bit. But you can, this is very cheap. This is about $9, okay? This is one of the better ones, but you can even get cheaper ones than this. And, you know, it will essentially last you like 10 years. Okay, so for near the cost of like a Games Workshop null oil, you can literally get one of these and it's going to last you for a lot longer. It's a lot cheaper. But I'll just open this up here, show you this. It is actually very thick inside. So you can see it's very thick. So we have to water this guy down with spirits actually. So we can't use water with oils, just so for anyone who's not sure about that, we need to water it down. Now, what do I use to water down the oil paint? Okay, I use this. It's called White Spirits. Now, it can be any white spirits. This is just a certain brand that I picked up from an art shop. Okay, you can also use terps if you want, okay? But yeah, this is kind of what we need to use to water the oils down, because oil paints are oil-based, right? If we start to mix water in there, it goes all weird and it starts to break apart, okay? So that's that one right there. All right. Now, with that said, just a quick tip: when you're using oils for washes, make sure that you coat the model with even if it's a very thin sort of varnish afterwards, because especially if you're using acrylic paint, you'll find that when you mix in the terps with the oil, the terps might go ahead and start to strip the oil paint off a little bit, okay? And sometimes it can be actually quite catastrophic, because the paint basically just comes right off and you can wreck your whole model, right? So just want to be very clear there on that, okay? Before you start using oil paints, you know, go get a model you don't care about, you know, just get some test models or something, because it is a little bit different to working from acrylics or like even quick shade or anything like that, because oil paints are not an acrylic, okay? All right, fantastic. So what I've got here, I've got an Alpha Legion Leviathan that I've started working on, and I'll just show you sort of like the back here where I've applied oils. Now, the thing is that I've basically gone through and put two different oils on here, okay? The first one, on this side of the leg, is actually the Scale 75 oil wash, all right? Now, these are all available in different colors, by the way, just to let you know. And this stuff is like, there's all the colors of the rainbow. So what people like to do is, I don't really like to do it too much because I do a little bit of the weathering later, supplementary. But what a lot of people like to do is basically mix this in with a little bit of brown, sort of like to make it look a little bit more earthy. But I find I like just straight black personally, okay, because I feel that it works the best, okay. But anyway, so this side is the oil wash from Scale 75, right? You can see that there, and then this side is the oil from the Winston's satchel, right? Now, what you could probably notice here is basically that the Scale 75 side is actually a lot sort of shinier, all right, than the Winston's one. Now, this did go on quite thick, okay, but on that side, all right, but even still, you could pretty much see that. And this is also Winston's, I believe, up the top here, up on that part just here, okay. But you can see, both of them are good. They really give this really nice, like you see that little sheen there, all right, you can see they give this really nice sort of steel look, okay. And what I did was I actually went over it with Abaddon Black and then Lead Belcher first, and then put the oil on, and I dry brushed that, okay. And we see the back here. Now the back here, this back section, this is looking great, okay. This is looking absolutely amazing. This back section here is actually all Winston's oil. Now you can see that sort of sheen metallic look that's going on, especially under. Just gonna be careful touching around the sides, because the other thing is oil washes as well is that, I mean, look at that shit, look at that finish, right? The other thing with oil as well is that it takes a while to dry. Now that's a good and a bad thing. Sometimes it could take a few hours, but that's a good and a bad thing. Basically because, you know, if you start touching the model and stuff, it's, you know, it can smudge around your finish. I don't really care about this too much because I want to do some weathering on this anyway. So like around the edges, I've even got like a few scratches and stuff going on right now. But I'm not too fussed about that because, like I said, I was probably going to, you know, get that scratched in anyway. And sometimes I beat the model up a bit anyway to add a few sort of anomalies in there, you know, just to help me with the weathering process. But that's another video. Okay, but yeah, you can see that, like, I feel as though that looks very good. Okay, it looks very steel, okay? And then you've got the guns. I've done the insides down here as well. This is all in the Winstons. This is my preferred choice, by the way. Okay? It's been drying for about an hour, but I thought I would show you both, okay? Just so you know. There are other oil products too, but these are just the ones I use. All right, fantastic. Now, this guy here, this is actually the oil, but then with the Winston's oil, but then with some Lead Belcher, once again, dry brushed over the top, okay, of the Storm Cannon. All right, and like ignoring this sort of warping here. But I feel as though that looks really good. It looks really, really sort of, gives it a really, really sort of like worn, deep steel look. You know, something like true gunmetal would look like, in my opinion. Now, I didn't really bother about here because my Alpha Legion sort of gun nozzles are going to be painted white anyway. But yeah, this is the gun with the oil without the extra layer of Lead Belcher. Okay, that's just straight on. So if you wanted to go for more of a gunmetal sort of look, you can basically go for that as well. All right, so that's kind of the effect that oil will bring. Okay, to the table. All right. Yeah, so you can see the differences there. All right, so both are very, very good. Now, before we go through the technique, what I'll do, I'll just go over here. I wasn't going to do this, but I'll just show you. Like another example of where I've used oils on a finished product. This is the Legion glaive that I did up. Okay, and you can see the back of it here. All right, you can see how this back section looks. Also in here, in the grills as well. All right, and it's looking pretty neat. And that's also the barrels, okay, and you know the tracks, which had oil on there, but there were other things I added to that as well for the weathering. But that will be another video, yeah. So if you like the video, go ahead and consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps us. There's a picture of the unit. I'll also do a bit of a turntable of this as well. Okay, once it's probably after this video. Actually, I'll just bring this back a little bit so we can see it better. So yeah, that's basically the unit there. I'll do a turntable later, but just so you can see what's going on, what oil sort of can do for you. Okay. Fantastic. All right, so let's bring this camera back in now, and let's start to look at some techniques. Okay, so all right, now the first thing we need to do, we've discussed about varnishing, that's fine. I will often go commando with it a lot of times because I'm a little bit hardcore like that. But once again, I really do advise that you do not do that. I advise that you varnish your model, okay? But what I use this dropper bottle here, this little something dropper bottle, eyedropper, okay, or medicine dropper to measure my ratios, okay? Now, in order to get this going, I've already pre-mixed some stuff here, okay? But what we would generally do, okay, with the oils is, you know, with this, we can just use it out of a bottle. Okay, we open this up. This is the really good thing about the Scale 75 oil, is that I don't feel as though it's as good as the straight up proper oil, okay, but it's just out of the bottle, just easier to use. So if you're just looking for a really cool effect, steel effect, you want something that's a little bit, you know, better than say like, you know, null oil from GW, which is fine too, which is absolutely fine too. If that's the effect you're going through, no one's going to bash on null oil here, okay? Null oil is great. But I'm always looking for a way to take things a step further, you know what I mean? As an artist and stuff like that. So, you know, and it's up to you, you know, I feel probably everybody should be trying to improve, okay? You know, because if we all just sit there, you know, patting ourselves on the back all the time, then nothing gets done. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll get some of my white spirits. This is basically how we do it. It's very easy. White spirits. So I'm going to take the lid off. Okay. Okay, Mr. Mackie, and I'm going to get this dropper bottle. Okay, eyedropper. I'm just going to put it in. I'm just going to squeeze it once, and it's going to give me a payload of turpentine in here. Okay, or methyl, whatever the hell is in there. White spirits, whatever that is, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, just pretend that's empty. I'm just going to come in, I'm going to put a drop or two in here, right? Just to lubricate the base, okay? That's just so, because this stuff comes out really, really thick, okay? And so what I'm going to do is then I'm going to add this, come out like this. And all I need is honestly, I just need a tiny little bit. So you could just see like, tiny little bit coming out, and yes, people, this is literally how much you need. You do not need any more than that, okay, to get this stuff happening. That's how cost effective this stuff is compared to, you know, some of the other now I've done heaps of units of this, including like a whole super heavy and other Alpha Legion, okay, and I'm telling you now, like, this is gonna last me for like 2 years. I'll probably get another army out of it. I'm gonna get this little stick. You can just use a toothpick. This is just basically like a stirring stick I picked up at a junk shop, excuse me. And let's move this out of the way so we don't get speckles of oil all over this on my fantastic Alpha Legion finish. And we're just going to come in and I'm going to give this a little bit of a stir. Now, the other thing that's very important too, because this is an oil paint, okay, it's not an acrylic paint, do not use Games Workshop brushes on this, or any sables or anything. Okay, go down, go to the junk shop, get yourself some $2 brushes, okay, because you'll only get a few uses out of them until they stuff up, okay? Now, you know, it's totally up to you though. If you want to use expensive brushes to do it, if you're loaded, yep, that's fine, fantastic. But even if I was, you know, loaded, which I'm not, I would always just go for the more efficient way of doing things, okay? So now I'm going through here, I'm just stirring this around a bit. So this is basically giving us a bit of a base mixture here. And by putting in, I'm just going to just zoom in a little bit, guys. Just hang on a second. Let's just zoom in here, all right? So by doing that, and going through and putting a few drops of white spirits in just before I put the oil paint in, it basically allows me to, you know, not have stuff clump up around the sides. But now what I need to do is I need to come in and add a little bit more oil, white spirit, sorry, to get this more of the consistency of a wash. Okay, now it's going to be a little bit hard to demonstrate here, okay, and because, yeah, like I don't really want to touch around the sides here, and I've got to stir this around a little bit. Okay, you can use a brush to stir it, but I'm not. The other thing is wear gloves and wear a mask when you're using this stuff. It's not the best smelling, and it's not the healthiest for you either, because it's oil. It does give off fumes a fair bit, okay? So yeah, just make sure you protect yourself with gear. Even though I don't have it on, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, go for and do it. So just stirring this up a bit, okay, and we can see here that it's basically, you know, it's still pretty thick, so we're gonna have to add a little bit more to that. The consistency that you're looking for is basically that of null oil, pretty much, or sort of like a milky consistency. The same as what you might put, you know, if you were doing like a very, very light coat of an airbrush or something like that. Okay, and yeah, so we basically just go through standard. I think that's about right now. All right, you can also airbrush your stuff as well if you want, but just make sure you have some spirits on you to clean out your airbrush, and don't use an expensive airbrush because it will stuff things up pretty badly. I do not recommend using an airbrush. I recommend putting this on by brush. It's really not nice. It doesn't do nice things to your airbrush, okay? And you kind of don't need to. So I'm just going to find an old brush. Yeah, this brush is looking old enough. If you want to know more about brushes and stuff like that, I've got a video for that on the channel. So let's just test this out. I'm just going to come here. Yeah, it's a little bit, just a little bit thick. A little bit thick. I need it to be like a little bit thinner than that, okay? But it really is up to you. Okay, let's just thin this out a bit here. Yeah, cool. At this stage, I'm just going to use this brush. Screw it. It's just like a 20-cent brush or something from the junk shop. So I'm just going to go through, stir that around. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so I'll use this as an example. Okay, I touched it anyway. Hurrah. And I'm just going to come in here. I just want to show you how this will sort of work. See how that comes down? It drips down like that, okay, onto the plastic. That's basically the consistency that you want. All right, and you can always come back to a few passes, and as you can see, the oil really creates this nice weathering streaking effect, and it works as a fantastic wash. Okay, and the great part is that because it has such a slow drying time, right, we can actually, you know, come in and just wipe it off a little bit. All right, and it's not actually going to damage our finish too much. Okay. You can also run over it with a little bit of white spirits as well, okay, to go through and to clean it up a bit if you want, like if you feel that, you know, it's too sort of coarse, but it really is up to you. So yeah, and the way we do it is, it's basically just like when we're, you know, when we're washing stuff with null oil, we can go through and we can just come through and just douse the whole thing, okay, like that, all right, and get some nice sort of elements into the grooves. All right, or if we want to be more precise, you know, we can come through and get the brush, wipe a little bit off. Okay, this is probably best done on a piece of paper, but I just use this. Yeah, and what I want to kind of do here is I just want to tap here in the recess and then let it drip down itself. All right, you can see here that's dripping down. All you have to do is just tap it, okay, and it will fill in the rest for you. Okay, you don't even need to brush it down. All right, most of the time, yeah. But anyway, you know, you'll kind of go about working your technique out for that. But essentially, that's it. That's how we work with oils. It's some of the techniques that we can use, and like I really think it can give a really nice finish on things. And it's really awesome, yeah, and it's available to us to use. Just be very careful, as I said before. You know, when you're applying it, make sure that you varnish the model first. You protect the coat, especially if it's a base coat. Things like candy colors and stuff like that. You know, like especially Alpha Legion stuff or 1,000 Suns. You know, they can be very hard to fix up afterwards. All right, so make sure you protect your work. Don't you know, go through and destroy your work. You know, even do some test models and stuff like that first. You always should, all right? Because, you know, especially with, you know, some of the metallics and that, they're a little bit hard to correct. And you can still correct them, but they're never going to look the same, you know, as if you were just painting like an acrylic, you know, because there's a certain sheen, you know, and a certain sort of you know, texture to the metallics and an evenness. I was watching another YouTube channel the other day, and the guy, he's usually really good, but he's doing a White Scars army and stuff, and that's White Scars army is great, it looks great, but he did another review talking about some of the legions, and he was saying that like Alpha Legion aren't really that hard to paint without some know-how. I think that's utter bullshit, to be honest. If you know, it depends what you sort of mean by hard to paint. Like, yeah, if you want them looking like shit, they're not hard to paint. But there actually is a fair lot involved of painting proper metallic Alpha Legion and making them look good. But anyway, fantastic. And I mean, look, you've seen my work, you've seen my tanks, you've seen my Alpha Legion work. You can check up on the banner for all that kind of stuff as well. We've got some more of my artwork, some more of my videos up here online. And fantastic, everybody. Look, everybody is safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Steve, Command Centre Wargaming. Please subscribe if you want to support the channel.